it could get to the point where you have someone who feels like, wow, it's just kind of too full in the defensive line room. And I kind of
Right.
worry about that. Defensive line's something that you can have more than just a quarterback room, But
Mm-hmm.
I am a little bit worried about that. And kind of piggybacking off of that, it goes to Julian Fleming, who's a guy that's in a lot of news feeds right now. Let me turn the volume down, but he's in a lot of news feeds right now for being on Clemson's radar for their another five-star wide receiver recruit. He's from Catawissa, Pennsylvania, 6'3", 210 pounds, number one wide receiver in the nation right now per Rivals. And if you just watch his film, I mean, there's not even really much for me to say. The guy can really do anything and everything in the wide receiver position. He's a great number one. He could be a great number two. He could be a great slot. He just basically does everything. He's 6'3", so he's not the tallest guy in the world, but man, he is super fast. He can get open. He's got a lot of downfield speed. He can get by just about anybody. He can get around just about anybody. But the only problem that I have with him is that he's shopping, and so I feel like that he's just shopping around, and Clemson's kind of lower on the list. If you look at the wide receiver room as compared to the defensive line room, wide receiver room for the next 2 to 3 years is pretty stacked. And that's a little bit unfortunate
Yeah.
for Julian because Julian's such a
Yeah.
good player,
Right.
but they're really stacked right now. Let me tell you, as far as shopping, this is why I say he's shopping a lot. All right, they say Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Penn State are his top teams.
Right.
He's visited Alabama 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's visited Georgia 2 times. Visited Ohio State 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Visited Penn State for the past 5 years 12 times. And he's only visited Clemson once. And that was earlier this year. So I don't know if it's the right time for Clemson to land this number one 5-star. I want all the 5 stars in the world as a Clemson fan,
Absolutely.
but I don't know if I really feel like that he's got orange as his priority.
Well, I'll tell you this. Like you said, he's not as big as Ross or Ngata, but he's still a good size. I have him at 6'2". Obviously anything you see online is usually about an inch or so less than that. they like to exaggerate those some. I think Clemson is right in the thick of this. I mean, this is a guy who's got good speed, great athlete. He plays basketball as well in high school, and he competes in the long jump. So obviously he's really athletic. Physical receiver, good after the catch, tough to bring down. I think we're right in the middle of it. I believe, Clemson and maybe Ohio State, maybe Penn State due to proximity is kind of his top three. Alabama, of course, is always going to be a token in the mix for a 5-star. But I think one thing you're underestimating here, when Jeff Scott wants somebody, he usually gets them. I've learned my lesson: never bet against the guy. Now, it's not to say he's going to land everyone, but I don't really have any proof to the contrary right now. So I'm gonna roll with Jeff Scott on this one and say he ends up in Tiger Town.